Hello and welcome to our home. This is one of my favorite times of the year in the garden, late summer. And I think this time of day is so pretty. The light's just nice and golden. And I want to share with you what we've done this year. So our garden has grown. We've lived in this house for 18 years and we've done small projects along as we could afford to do it. And I think that's a great way to do a garden so that you get to enjoy the process of creating it. And there are things that we've ended up doing that we would not have done initially. So I think the finished product is vastly different than what we set out to create. The first thing you see when you come into the driveway is the motor court. And the centerpiece of that is the fountain from Provence. And it's one of my favorite things here on the property. So this part of our garden is a little hidden area. We call it the maple tree patio because there's a little patio that's surrounded by 2 maple trees and this really large magnolia. We've had a lot of winter damage this year that we are overcoming. We've had to replant entirely the hedge that's in this area, but I'm excited about the new hedge and how it's going to be different. We've created a tapestry hedge, which is going to include the original hedge with a bigger leaf, and we mixed in a cherry laurel that's got a smaller leaf. So we should have a really pretty texture when these 2 things grow back together. So now we are in our shade garden. And this was actually the very first thing that we started to develop. When we bought the house, there was no connection between the motor court and the swimming pool. So we created the pathway and installed the steps and built things and planted things that were shade loving. And the latest thing that we did was 2 years ago, we added the hostas because we wanted to limit the number of perennials that we were having to do. And it's been a great addition. So this is our flat lawn. And this area was created from an unusable slope in the yard. And this was a big project early on in probably within the first 3 years of us living here. We realized that we needed more entertaining space outside, and this area was available, but we had to flatten it and build some retaining walls to make that happen. But it's a great area now. It's perfect for croquet, it's perfect for badminton, and we can seat about 80 people for dinner out here. It's really a lovely place, and we'll have a band on the upper terrace. So it's just been a great place for us to entertain. So this is our pool garden, and the pool garden started with just the hydrangeas here in the garden, and the last thing that we added was the rose pavilion, and it really gave some structure and substance to the garden, and I just love it. It's really been a great addition here. And in the springtime, in May, it's covered with the pink roses that you see kind of just peeping out. But usually we get a few little sprigs of blooms throughout the year, and other than May. But in May it's solid pink and it's really, really dramatic and pretty. So we are getting ready to move into our cutting garden, and the cutting garden I think is one of the most special places on the property because Bobby lost his second mom and a really good friend of ours several years ago, and we wanted to honor her. So we took some plants from her garden and we started our cutting garden. And so she was the inspiration for this place in our garden. And we grow dahlias and roses and peonies and iris. We now have something blooming almost year round. And when we bought the home, there was nothing flowering here at all. So it's really a remarkable transformation. This is a really interesting plant. I love this. It's an iris, but to be blooming in September is really unusual. This is a reblooming German bearded iris, and I really love them because we do get 2 full blooms out of these. This is our snail garden, and this was conceived as a way to give a sight line from the driveway area all the way through the pool to the flat lawn. And we call it the snail garden because the shape of the patio is the shape of a snail, and the snail's head would be here where the boxwood is. And then later we found the sculpture of the boy on the snail, so it was the perfect centerpiece for this space. So one of the most relaxing spots in the yard, I think, is the little fish pond. And we created this space because we knew we were going to do our sunroom addition, and we wanted a focal point from inside the house, and the sculpture of the lady as a tree was the perfect centerpiece for this area. So I hope you've enjoyed the garden tour. This place, we did not start out meaning to create what we did. It just happened over time. And I think that's the way to approach a project is as you've got an idea, as you've got a little bit of money to work on it, you do it. And you don't have to do the whole garden at one time, just like the inside. You don't have to do the whole interior at the same time. You can take your time, do space at a time, and the end result will be spectacular.